There are approximately 1.5 million men and women on active duty in the United States military. This is one man's story.
I am Lisa Wyant Dunkelberger. I am the wife of Brent. When me and Brent got together, I had already had a 5-year-old daughter named Belinda, who he took on as his own child. When I had Kelly, he was there for everything. Unfortunately for our second child, Zoe, he wasn't able to be there for her birth because he was deployed in Iraq. So the only way he got to call the night after she was born, so he got to hear her cry, but he never really got to see her until she was 4 months old. One funny story I have for Brent. It was right before his second deployment. We were at the barracks helping guys move some of their stuff to store at our house. And one of his good friends had this sombrero. For some reason, I still can't figure out why, Brent just had to have this sombrero. So he brought it with us, and as we're driving down the main road in El Paso, he has the sombrero on. And it is so big that he's sitting there and he has to lean forward and he's maneuvering his head just so he fits in the van wearing this sombrero, and he is driving down the road with this thing on. Brent decided one year up in his hometown, they have, when the clock strikes midnight, they have this guy that comes running out as Baby New Year. So Brent did it the one year. So we played the part. We put 3 cloth diapers, pinned them around him, and also put a baby bonnet on him.
It was 5 degrees, freezing cold. And he came out with his diaper on and his hat and dumping champagne all over everybody. But he was warm as anything. When we would go out somewhere and Brent would be along, always wanted him to dress in his Class A's so she could show him off. We were really proud of him. But he would always say he hates when people come up, pat him on the back, and say, "Oh, I'm so proud of you for doing all this." And he said, "I don't want that." He says, "I'm here to do a job, and that's all there is to it. I am not a hero."
And then his second deployment, he left October 31st, 2006. We prepared the kids by just talking to them about Iraq, and then Sesame Street had came out with this video of parents having to leave for a certain time. So we sat down with all 3 of the girls and let them know what would be happening and where he was going and how long we were expecting him to be gone, and just tried to spend as much time together as we could before he left, and just kept reassuring him that the girls that he'd be home and that everything was going to be okay.
And I told him not to go. And he said he had to go because he trained these guys. He needed to go. And I said, "Don't." And he goes, "Yes, I'll be back." I said, "You have to promise me." He goes, "I will be back." But the eye contact him and I made, I knew he wasn't coming back. He goes, "When the bullets start shooting me, I'll stand sideways and they'll just go right by me."
Army Sergeant Brent William Dunkelberger, 29, of New Bloomfield, Pennsylvania, assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 7th Cavalry Regiment, 4th Brigade Combat Team, 1st Cavalry Division, Fort Bliss, Texas. Died December 12, 2006, of injuries sustained when a rocket-propelled grenade struck his vehicle during a convoy security mission in Mosul, Iraq.
The day he was killed, I was helping a friend move. And we were on our way to the school to pick up our kids after school. And we stopped at the one stop sign, and you could see my house from the stop sign. And there were 2 guys walking up in Class A's. And in military, you know that when you see the people in Class A's, what it means. And I I couldn't move the van. I just kept screaming, no, no, no. My friend got me out of the van. And she drove up to the house, and she had to pull me out of the van because I just kept screaming, no, no, no. And then they had read this letter that I just remember hearing his name, hearing that he was killed, and all I heard was Rocket, and I don't remember what else they were saying. I am familiar with the Westboro Baptist Church. They threatened to picket my husband's funeral, but I was fortunate enough to have the people around the school and the cemetery put up petitions stating they could not step foot on their property, so they had nowhere to picket in the lines of the school or even en route to the cemetery. There were, if I remember correctly, at least 25 Patriot Guards. They lined the front of the school and they held flags up the whole time, and then they were in the motorcycles on the way to the graveyard, and then they lined the road where the gravesite was with their flags.
From the start of the U.S. War on Terror on October 7, 2001, now known as the Overseas Contingency Operation, 5,932 stories have had the same ending.